500 years ago, everybody knew the Earth was flat.
Is the world flat?
I mean, I could have said the world was flat.
The world is round. They'll take him for a lunatic.
Yes, a mutiny. The captain thinks the world is round, see? But we all know it's a flat, right?
Of course it's flat.
Meeting of the Flat Earth Society. Of the Flat Earth Society.
It says it's flat.
You looked around at this flat, beautiful land?
Earth is flat.
The best of the waters. Let it divide the waters from the waters. And God made the firmament.
Of the ice and the rise of sea level, all that extra water is just going to spill over the sides of the flat Earth.
About those who argued that the Earth was flat. And for a long period of time, people argued that the Earth was flat. What is fundamentally a flat Earth caucus? States Congress itself, who still argue about those who argued that the Earth was flat.
The sides of the flat Earth.
Of the Flat Earth Society. They the Flat Earth Society.
I'll let you say a sentence, maybe two, max, until I think of my next diatribe, and then you better get ready to listen, because that's your place. So listen, yeah? You all need to become better listeners, okay? You need to listen to me talk. I got a lot to say, and you got a lot to listen to, all right? Because I started this movement, and you want to be part of it, you better get ready to listen to me.
You just came onto the scene out of the clear blue. I'm listening to you motherfuckers, wondering who told you to come in here and poison the well. Every single thing I hear is annoying as hell. Holding my nose and avoiding the smell. See, I put this thing together, you're destroying the gel. You keep talking reckless, so I'm so proud to diss you. You hijack my message, now you're trying to cloud the issue. Confusing it with things that don't pertain. The most preposterous shit to make it seem insane. I made it easy for you people to explain, palpably to the sheeple how they're living on a plane. And this is what I get back in return. Bitches steering my cause, hoping that it crash and it burn. No. All of these Hasbro they have to learn. And the respect they get from me, they have to earn from now on. I was there from the beginning. They trying to jump all on our horse and steer it off.
Videos, it's a shit show. It's Mark hanging with that red-headed bimbo.
It's okay to be an info. I love to show my cleavage. Come to me for your info.
And past dear admits she used to work for CBS. So when you see her show, everything you see is BS. Super repetitive, trauma-based mind control. Flat Earth Cruise brought to you by a higher troll. And then we got the next level agents like Neil deGrasse. If he said what he really knows, they would kill his ass. Shills will tell you the reasons to believe in gravity. They'll tell you Earth is photoshopped because it has to be. Shills to pay the bills, man, that's what it boils down to. They indeed live, and they're everywhere around you.
But before we get going, I don't care if your name is Bruce or Wendell or Melanie or any of these other people that are seeking Flat Earth truth. We want to give an honorable mention here and a shout out to first what happened on the Flat Earth this week. This site was just producing massive amounts of Flat Earth information every day, and then one day it just shut down. It's still up and running. There's a great archive in there, but there's nothing being updated. I don't know what happened. I heard there was an illness, but never followed up. But just an honorable mention to them, and then also to my good friend Bruce Hillier, who passed away. He'll be missed. He and I were buddies. And you can see here in the Flat Earth rankings that came out that Plain Truth was number 2 in worldwide websites in 2016, and Bruce Hillier's site Geocentric Gnostic was number 5. So we were definitely having an impact. And folks, I don't know what happened to Bruce. I've tried to get a hold of his wife, and I have no idea what has happened to him, but he will be missed. Hey folks, and welcome to another video from a plaintruth.info. Now we're today calling out names and going over the history of the modern Earth, Flat Earth movement. So as this continues to grow, people will understand how it got started and why it is a psyop and why I'm calling it a psyop and who the players are in the psyops. So we see back in 1999, the first mentioned Men in Black movie with Will Smith mentioned the Flat Earth. Men in Black was a movie about the Jesuits. In 2009, the Flat Earth Society website was created. 2009 to 2012, Obama says in the speeches, doesn't have time for a meeting of the Flat Earth Society. Jesuit Roman Joe Biden says the same thing. Kerry also mentions flat earth in speeches, setting the intonation. 2011, Jesuit-trained Matt Powerland, or Matt Boylan, the actor, and then self-acclaimed NASA employee, releases a video saying that he worked making CGI images for NASA as a subcontractor. 2014, Rob Skiba, the Testing the Globe, starts his YouTube channel, his Bible channel on Flat Earth. Does some great work, really helped inform me. October 2014, Eric E.D. Dubé, in his Atlantic Conspiracy, documents the dinosaur is a hoax, okay? So in 2014, in his Atlantic Conspiracy website, he also came out with a book, he's calling dinosaurs a hoax. And then the very next month, E.D. Dubé comes out and releases the Flat Earth Conspiracy book and starts the International Flat Earth Research Chat Room Board. And this was the beginning of people hearing about the Flat Earth. The meme started to get promoted. Dubé's name started being bandied about all around. I purchased his book because I had been following him, his Atlantic Conspiracy site, and had read his books on Atlantic Conspiracy and also his good book on spiritual science. Both of them were excellent. And then I took the Flat Earth book with me on a flight to Hawaii and started looking into it and went, holy cow. All right, and adding to the mix, in April 2014, Mr. Rick Delano, who is producer, writer, consultant, along with Dr. Robert Sungenis, came out with some video documentaries. Galileo was wrong, the church was right. Actually promos on it. And here you can see the Church versus Galileo, one of their trailers. And they claimed when they came out in April 2014, millions and millions and millions were awakened to the Flat Earth conspiracy, and that it was all their doing that came out with the Flat Earth. And this is nonsensical, folks. I've been at it since the beginning, and there was nothing back in April when you go back and look, and I'll show you here the trend charts, and it has nothing going on in April, specifically nothing on geocentrism, which is their argument versus the Flat Earth. You can also look at my Psyops too and get a full documentary about it.
And then, in April of 2014, overnight, the principle became the third highest trending story on the World Wide Web. Literally millions upon millions upon millions of people, all of a sudden, overnight, heard about this film.
So now let's turn to E.D. Dubé, the self-proclaimed founder of the modern Flat Earth Awakening. Here we can see a screenshot that his book came out in November of 2014. That's on Amazon. So I'm not going to go into a super lot of detail on E.D. Dubé. There's so much on the internet you can find for yourself. But if you want to go to my website, I did a whole series on Mr. Dubé, and you can see for yourself the self-appointed founder of the Flat Earth. You can see here he received $100,000 from the National Vaccine Injury Council in the United States. Well, it also means he also spent time in Washington, D.C., which he denies he did. And here he is with his girlfriend, who's tied to military generals high up in the Thai army. And here you see Mr. Dubé with the Freemasonry, another cute picture of him in his yoga pose and Freemasons. And here you have documentation where he lived in Washington, D.C., but denies it. I've been following him since the very beginning. He is not who he says he is. He is just a shill for the powers that be to get the Flat Earth movement started. That's why he gets so much publicity. That's why he's on shows like Veritas Radio and other shows. And this is back in March 01 when the Flat Earth International Christian Conference was beginning, and they were asking Mr. E.D. Dubé if he was coming, and he says, people have been asking if I was invited to FEC 2017. Now remember, he's been attacking these people relentlessly, and here they all are on one stage, and you'd think he'd just rip them a new you-know-what, but listen to what he says. Oh, so I went back in my old messages and found that Robbie, that's Robbie from Celebrate Truth, Robbie Davidson, one of the co-producers, had Facebook messaged me that he had something he wanted to talk to me about, and that was all. He never mentioned the event as an invitation message, but claimed I was invited. Now, I get thousands of messages and daily and serious about inviting me to the event. Then he should at least mention the event in his message and invited me to it. Anyway, that's clear that every speaker at Shillfest 2017 is a controlled opposition, disinformation agent, and this event is their way of trying to bring legitimacy to their pseudo-movement where they leave out the Jews and claim Eric is dividing us. Hey, Eric, what about the Jesuits, dude? There wouldn't be enough interest in the Flat Earth 2017 to even have a conference if I didn't bring this topic to the world's attention. But these shills have the gall to claim I'm dividing the movement when there was no movement before I started in November 2014. Anyone doubts that, watch Who Brought Back Flat Earth, look at Google Analytics. Well, that's an Eric Dubé. And then he does a little slide here. I think his name is Brian Mellon, not Mullen. Started as an intelligent and well thought out person, but now he's become a super devout Christian, talking about it in some of his later vids. It honestly seems like it's being claimed as a flat earth movement is disguised as an easy way to convert people as their demonic God demands of them. If only people spent half the time they spend on YouTube learning about how insane Orthodox religions are. So you can see why he wasn't invited, because he's not into the massive circle jerk for Christian flat earthers. Excuse my French. 2015, Jesuit-trained Jeranism begins his YouTube channel. Not much to say about Mr. Jeranism here, other than he feels like he's living on a spin ball. There's no background on him or anything else like that. So let's get a little bit into the dirt in the background of who Mr. Jaron Campanella really is, or Jeranism, or Globebusters, or Globebusters 2, and all the other sites he's been opening up and spreading out. So who is this Mr. Jeranism? And there's a picture of him with a Giants baseball cap. And this is from a website, I Warn You, Blogspot, Flat Earth Masonic Jesuit Psyops. And of course, we click on it now, and I'm glad I saved it because it isn't there anymore, as many of this gets taken down when you start to get a little too close to the truth. It's been removed. So, Jeranism, A.K. Jaron Campanella, A.K. J. Campy, A.K. Michael Moriarty, A.K. many other aliases, was born in Italy, lives in Monterey, California, and went to the private all-male Jesuit college Bella Marine, okay? And then he's been on many shows, including, who I have a lot of respect for, Mike Williams at Sage of Quay, Sophia Smallstorm, but then why they would have David Weiss or Mr. Campanella, who's been all over the internet for extortion, blackmail, grand larceny, fraud, and theft. I don't know if they didn't do their homework or they don't do the research on the background on this guy, but he's been indicted for all these Bitcoin frauds. IFERS took him to task on that. IFERS is Eric E.D. Dubé's site, and this is Jeranism as a Jesuit criminal, busted for larceny. Also that he has asked for money, fundraisers to pay for his house. So you go to Jeranism's site here, and you see he's got Globebusters. You see the links, but look at all his sites he has, folks. He has Globebusters, Jeranism, Jeranism Raw. His girlfriend, wife, Missy, has videos as well. You go into the links. You talk about who this Jeranism guy is. Let's see who he is. Maybe he talks about himself, where he comes from, what he does. Does he talk about himself? No, there's no bio. Oops, as a former Catholic who broke free and moved to atheism. Okay, there's a clue there. So if that's the case, Mr. Jeranism, and we're going to go to his blog here for a sec as well, and notice this logo up here doesn't have a dome on it. So that could be making the argument now for geocentrism. Here's this blog post, and this is fairly recent, June 2017. Here he is talking about how true the story is, and he gets deeper into the Bible, and he's got Christ on the books, a series of books here as well. Christians Love Me Not makes the case why they don't own it, and the Flat Earth Conference here, back when they were releasing it back in February. So he doesn't talk at all about anything else or his bio or where he comes from to be such an expert on this stuff. But boy, this guy gets all over the place on all these sites more and more. March 2015, I started my website. And just further confirmation, here's a screenshot of my site. And you can see I've got a 4.2 million views as of July 20th. And that my site was created on May 22nd, 2015. And I left the revenue in there and didn't take it out because you can see I haven't been collecting money on any of my 120 some odd videos at all until recently after they cut back on the payments. So I'm not in it for the money, folks. And then Mark Sargent started Flat Earth Clues on YouTube. Mark Sargent, the father of Flat Earth, self-proclaimed Mark Sargent. Again, he's got his preface. He's putting out all the show on here. I mean, it's Mark K. Sargent, not Mark Sargent. Grew up in Whidbey Island, training people in proprietary software. He says he was a video engineer, and that allowed him to put out 10 videos, one a day, when the Flat Earth was just beginning back in January 2015. He released a series of YouTubes called Flat Earth Clues, okay? Then he's got his phone number here. You can call him. But again, you know, it's not what it seems to be, and Mr. Sargent is prominently displayed and promoted by all the rest of these guys here. So let's take a look at Mr. Mark K. Sargent. So this is from my YouTube channel at plaintruth.info I did back in April on Mr. K. Sargent. He wants to thank everybody for changing his life. And here's the logo of Mark Sargent, okay, folks? Here's the logo for Interpol. Now, this is the Rothschild Rockefellers Interpol that started the internet, released it through DARPA in 1995 with Netscape browser. And Mark Sargent is using the exact same logo with the exception of the Interpol and whatnot. And he's using that as his new logo, as I just showed. Here's Mr. Dubé, E.D. Dubé, with the 666, with his Freemasonry, calling out all other Freemasons. And this is an interview that went viral about InfoWars taking off Eddie Bravo because Eddie Bravo started talking about flat Earth, and Alex Jones has got a round ball Earth in the back, and we can't have Eddie Bravo, you know, taken off the air. He's trying to tell the truth. Well, look at his shirt, folks. Look at his shirt, and there he's got Eric Dubé right next to him. Same logo as Sargent. See how it's all connected? Do you see how they're all on the same team? All on the same team. So also on my website a little while ago, back in March, I went after and looked into Russian vids. He's another guy pumping up the volume, talking smack to the world and breaking news. And I'll get into the Russian vids response to Tosh in a minute. But I want to get down to Russian vids here. And this is a guy, Russian vids, a Russian military intelligence saboteur. This is his logo, or the logo of the Russian. It's also his logo, but it's also the Russian military, folks. So another one I want to go get into is Russian vids. This guy puts up a ton of volume. He lives down in Northern California, below the airport in San Francisco. Get into the Russian vids response to Daniel Tosh, Tosh.0. But I want to get into this logo that he uses. This is an article about Russian vids, his GRU, Russian Military Intelligence. Here's their symbol they use. He's a wolf in sheep clothing. This is the logo of the main intelligence director of the Russian Federation, in particular GRU Spetsnaz, or the Elite Special Forces of Russian Military Intelligence. 2010, they were disbanded, with a few of them rebanded in 2013, assigned to special operations. Prior to 2014, you could find vids of Lashensko, Russian vids channel, on GRU agents in military fatigue singing Russian folk songs. What is the agenda of GRU Spetsnaz? The primary function of Spetsnaz troops in wartime was infiltration, insertion behind enemy lines, either in uniform or civilian clothing, usually well before hostilities are scheduled to begin, once in place, to commit acts of sabotage and the assassination of key government leaders and figures. Russian vids, a.k.a. Benjamin Lashenko, is a Russian Jew living in San Mateo, a fifth-column special ops agent of Russian military intelligence involved in psychological warfare against the public, and in particular American citizens. The last name Lashenko is Jewish, and that's why you'll hear every conspiracy under the sun and everything and anything so-called exposed by Russian vids is Israel, Zionism, Jewish complicity, and corruption. Yeah, you'll never hear him talk about the Jesuits, that's for sure. So let's get into this Russian vids Tosh.0, who's a mainstream knucklehead comic on mainstream TV. And this was put out by Odd Reality. See, Odd TV, they're supporting the sergeant here.
Tight, bring it back, it's alright. And that's because there ain't no curvature.
There ain't no curvature. As catchy as it is informative, everything you kids learned in science class is a crock of baloney. That rap god is not alone. There are tons of flat earthers out there, including A-list celebrity Tila Tequila.
So now they talk about the shills that are out there, the knuckleheads promoting it, except for Kylie Irving right after the All-Star game and Shaq O'Neal, who comes out and denies it. It's all theater, folks. It's all a show. I just want to bring it to your attention so you don't get caught up in the hype of all this and get down to the real meat of the matter, of the flat earth information, research, logic. Anyway, let's move on. So who is this Mr. Sargent? Let's find out a little bit more about him. Here's the logo we had previously. Again, the swords through the earth type of thing. Mark Kendall Sargent, his own written background. He was grew up in Whidbey Island in Washington. Founded the Brimstone Fireworks Company in college, which was shut down by the ATF. Spent 3 years as a sous chef in a Greek restaurant. And won the first computer pinball world tournament in 1994, hired by a PC game publisher in Boulder, Colorado. There's that connection. Played computer games for a living 1997. So he was a computer gamer till 1997, stayed in Boulder, never married, never had kids. Now the facts. The first computer pinball competition that heads world pro and amateur pinballs. The first tournament was in 1991. Mark Sargent is listed as coming in 28th place in this competition, and through an association called Little Wing Pinball. And there's an interview he gives in this article on with Alexander Meters on the Galactic Connection. Okay, the Galactic Connection. This is March 31st, 2015. Right when he was bringing out his first 10 Clues videos. And it's this interview we'll get into in a minute. But I wanted to point out what he had said down here, which wasn't included in the previous part. If you go back to biblical parts of things, and God said, let there be light, light the darkness. God called a light day. God said, let there be a firmament in the midst of the waters, da-da-da. So Sargent replied, oh, that's a great interpretation. I use that most often because it's most recognizable. I mean, it's Genesis. And not only is the first book of King James, it not only is, I hate to do this because other religions are going to yell at me, not only the first book of King James Bible, but it's in the first chapter. You cannot go farther back than that. All right? So then we get into what he also said in the interview. So interviewer, no, seriously, the interviewer asked in March 31st, 2015, said he had made 7 weeks. He made a dozen videos and had done 6 interviews on a pancake earth. Sargent, no, seriously, I had a dream. How long ago did this start with you, Mark? Well, it's embarrassing and how short it was. I think it was less than 7 weeks. Less than 7 weeks. How many total videos did you make? I made the intro, then 11 clues, so 12 of those, 3 trailers, and then there were 6 interviews already up on the channel. Another one is supposed to be shipped to me pretty soon, and everything else this week. So in 7 weeks, he had his dream, made a dozen videos, 3 trailers, does 6 interviews. Maybe Sargent was on speed and didn't sleep for 3 weeks, but there's no way he could have done it in 7 weeks. Both Dubé and Sargent have their tracks well covered, which is to be suspected by Pro COINTEL. And then on Sargent's About page, we read that his favorite books are The Wizardry Cursed, Angela's Ashes, Morals and Dogmas. Morals and Dogmas is the Freemason book, head of Freemasons, Scottish Rite Freemasons by Albert Pike, who has a shrine mausoleum buried in Washington, D.C. That's how important he was. Also, as we previously said, Wikipedia Jeranism has some moral and dogma books in there as well. And if that's not enough, we have Mark Sargent's enclosedworld.com. It's where you've been living this whole time. And here is another site from Mark Sargent and the Strange World. All right, so here we type in Flat Earth Clues, Mark Sargent's site, and we get up this blog, flatearthclues.com. And all they have is 3 videos here posted, Flat Earth Proof by Jeranism, scratching each other's backs again. All right, so here's Flat Earth Clues Introduction. And this was when he came out with his 10-part series in a matter of days that he had a dream about by Globe Hoax. Now you click through here and you look for Globe Hoax under YouTube channels. There's nothing, folks. There's no Globe Hoax. Again, part of the Psyops. And here we have Mark Sargent without the K, not Mark K. Sargent, but marksargent.com. He's got another Flat Earth website here, Awaken to the Truth, straightforward, easy to understand, blah, 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 Flat Earth Clues. The guy's everywhere. Mr. Promo, self-promo. August 18th, Patricia Steers, 2015, started Flat Earth and Other Hot Potatoes. So this is from a Flat Earth Truth, which I'll put in the show notes. And this person did a very extensive investigation into Patricia Steers and who she was or wasn't before she started her Flat Earth YouTube channel, Flat Earth and Other Hot Potatoes, which everybody's been on. I declined to be on, though I was never invited. But here we go back into her bio, or Flat Earth Truth does, and can't find anything about her even being in the class she says she was in. And it just goes on for there. She says she was a radio broadcaster. And what I wanted to mention is that in this Flat Earth movement, since it started back in October, November 2014, most of the people that have come online that I'm calling out are either in the production business of YouTube production or in their broadcasting business. You don't get any hardcore researchers, and that's why they're pumping up Mr. Mullen, because he has a structural engineering degree. But nobody else is really being promoted by the Flat Earth community or on each other's shows. Certainly I'm not getting invited, and it's not sour grapes. It's just a fact. So lest anybody accuse me of not full disclosure, here's my name, websites, books I've written. My career, I started out as a trader, floor clerk on Wall Street, New York Stock Exchange, moved up to a trading desk in New York City in 1985 for Furman Cells maker Dietz and Burney, then went to Robertson Stevens Investment Banking in San Francisco, and then started my own company in 1991, JWL Investments. Check it out, check my bio. So let's get into a little more, but I'll leave this website in the links, and you can see they investigated and tried to find a link to a woman named O'Shea, Shannon O'Shea, and background in Los Angeles and marketing, and they're making the case that she might be related to, or that possibly Patricia Steers took up the name of Miss O'Shea from her broadcasting career shortly thereafter, and the identity of Shannon O'Shea is really Patricia Steers. So I'll put this in the show notes, and you can look into it more. Let's get into the rest of these Flat Earth truthers, so to speak. And then Robbie Davidson, Celebrate Truth, started his YouTube channel the day after, on October 2015. What a coincidence, if you believe in coincidences. So let's get into Math Powerland, born Matthew Leonard Boylan in 1978. Now, he claims he worked at NASA. He was part of the CGIs, and he was the first to come out in 2011, before Eric Dubé, 3 years before, and say that he had worked at NASA altering images. The video came out in 2011, which we'll play here in a little bit. There's also a lot more to him. He's a professional hyper-realist painter and political scientist. Received a double major in political science and philosophy from St. Francis Xavier, a Jesuit school. He painted high-altitude aerial footage. He worked for RASA, NASA, ESA, and the Canadian Space Agency, consultant on hyperrealism. He turned a free agent and whistleblower, exposing the fraud of all the space agency worldwide, and called his channel NASA Channel. So then he decides to be a whistleblower, And he used his abilities to perform as a rising comedic star to release the photo or painting test on live comedy crowds in 2003. Then he was unofficially dismissed from the collective worldwide comedy circuit, and after he releasing the Flat Earth on a live taping vote by a TV audience in an international French comedy taping in which Powerland exposed that the Earth is in fact flat, and all space imagery above the low orbit are computer-generated images paintings. Further exposing Flat Earth is to challenge people's view on reality and to get us to realize that we can understand the truth for ourselves as long as we use our own senses. So here is Matthew Boylan, or Math Powerland, whichever one he goes by, NASA channel. And we go into the about here. It's created April 5th, 2011, 5 million views, 27,000 subscribers. They don't want this on a billboard or TV. So I made the brattiest shirt and started the modern flat earth revolution. I own the copyright of this globe painting as I painted it, Mr. Boylan Powerland has to say about it. So if we look at his videos here, we can see he's put out stuff pretty regular basis, and he and the flat earth asshole are traveling around together, and he's yelling at people for putting up billboards and using his name, and you know, this guy is just all over the place. But he is one of the disclosures, the earliest disclosures, that the flat earth was real, and then NASA's all a CGI operation of Photoshop by the highest up levels. And then he gets into it more with Eric Dubé, Edie Dubé, and the rest of these guys. So you can check out his channel here. I put it in the show links, but just another actor, as we're going to see in a second. Now, what Mr. Boylan does not disclose in his bio is that he's an actor with many films here, and he also plays some very, very peculiar and queer roles in some of his acting, as we'll get into right here. Here is Math Powerland, Matt Boylan, whatever you want to call the guy, NASA CGI artist and actor.
Because I'm pretty squeaky clean.
NASA employee is coming into question. Now I don't have any evidence to support the notion that he wasn't a subcontractor for NASA, so that may be true, but when somebody is known to be deceptive, then you sort of have to scrutinize everything else that they've said before or since. So I'll just roll this quick clip and let you guys decide, who's the aggressor here and who is basically just pointing out some crazy truth. Now, I don't have anything against homosexuality, but I do have something against people selling out their morality for a buck. Now, personally, I would never do this.
Hi. You're obviously attracting a lot of attention these days with your NASA channel.
Yeah, NASA took out NASA television on the internet.
Mm-hmm.
So.
And we'd like to know a bit more about you. What's your background? What made you a sudden specialist with the shape of the Earth? And what about you? Where do you come from?
Your imagination.
Meaning, what's your background, your studies, what?
Self-taught, high realist painter. Started painting at the age of 3. My goal at a very young age was to be able to reproduce paintings that look like reality. We construct things that don't exist, understanding how light would hit form. And they recruited me after a vernissage, after I graduated from political science intelligence. After I graduated from political science intelligence at a Jesuit school in Canada. Known as St. Francis Xavier. They recruited me at a university exhibition.
And what was your job like?
Was about a year after I met some of the people I was working with over the phone and on computer at a function. And I think it was kind of like somewhat of an initiation to this division of NASA. And there was one gentleman there that didn't work for NASA, but he was like a consultant for the U.S. Defense Department, GPS, and NASA. And he was a physicist and a painter. Very interesting. combination. He was a well-known astrophysicist and a photorealist painter, colleague. And basically, they started to, I think the conversation started turning around like something was about GPS coordinates weren't working or something concerning Antarctica, and so then he made a crack. This gentleman was working for them both as a consultant, so it was like, I was like, well, so you should go out there and, you know, just and check this thing out, see if it's like, if it's still functional. And then somebody made a quip to the effect that, well, if he goes out that far, he ain't coming back. And I asked, like, what do you mean, like, well, why wouldn't he come back if it's like, if he can go back on his, because GPS doesn't reach that far. And then I was like, well, why doesn't GPS reach that far? I mean, is it too cold? And it's like, it's because it's flat. And they started laughing. They all started laughing. And my superior had quite a weird smirk on his face. He was watching me to see how I would take all this. And there was no lights on, and they had candles that they just lit. And then basically he took out some chalk, and it was like a cement sort of plank floor of some sort, and he started drawing out the Earth, all the continents exactly, but how they function, everything, physics, science, how everything we understand in movement of energy and objects in this new or hidden science, hidden from the public. He was basically explaining the flat Earth and how it works. And
conspiracy theory, eh? I could do that. I could use a nanobio fucking camera filament and put it in light bulbs and film it. I could do that. If I could think it, you better hope nobody's got the budget. All right, so here you go. What is this? This is the picture of the Earth. I like the first video. That was very great. The video just before there, I was like, what was that about, that video? Was it? That was about brainwashing. How do you brainwash? Well, you repeat it. You repeat the same thing over and over again. You know, if somebody's resisting the concept, if you keep fucking repeating it, after 6 times, they'll incorporate it in their brain. They may not agree with it, but repeat it another 1,000 times, they'll start saying it. I could start a campaign called Wah-Fa-Pa-Pa for like fucking $4 billion this week. And in like 24 hours through Twitter, everybody could be walking around going Wah-Fa-Pa-Pa, Wah-Fa-Pa-Pa. But your brain has three-dimensionalized, oh yeah, that's the Earth. How? Through repetition.
All right, so let's get into some of the players at the Flat Earth International Christian Conference coming up in November. That's sold out, and there'll be hundreds standing outside the arena or the hotel venue. Now, another thing about Mr. Skiba is he will not mention the Jesuits. Now, why will he not mention that the Vatican is the largest and longest owners of telescope observatories, including the newest named Lucifer? This guy does serious in-depth investigation. All he has to do is click on my channel, and he can learn about the chronology of the 500-year Jesuit deception. I get into it, folks. Copernicus, Jesuit books. Newton's 4th edition, published by the Jesuits. Father Lemaitre, the Jesuit Belgian priest, wrote the Big Bang Theory, not Einstein. Hey, Skiba, how come you're not talking about this? And if it's that too hard to find out, all you have to do is look on Wikipedia, and you get the list of Jesuit scientists, and you'll find the astronomers are all listed in here as well. Astronomer, 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 astronomer. All Jesuits, 17th century, 18th century. Mr. Skiba, I'm calling you out, dude. Talk about the Jesuits. All right, I don't think I'll end it here with Anonymous and them coming out and talking about Flat Earth, but again, notice the image. You got the laurel wreaths, just the icon United Nations, men in black, black and white. You got the globe behind it. Whose team are they on, folks? It's not hard when you look at the images. Images and logos are everything. I'll also be getting into in the next Psyop video, Psyop 4, the upcoming Evangelical Flat Earth International Conference in North Carolina. It's definitely a show performance, and we'll be covering that on the next vid doc. This is the plain truth out. Thanks for listening, guys, and please support us. Click the likes and spread the flat out truth, okay? Catch you in the next video, Doc. Peace out. So, since Anonymous, this is from Zeus Revelations in May of this year. Since Anonymous is claiming, promoting the flat earth, who is this Anonymous? The name Fox is in Guy Fawkes is pronounced Fox. However, the same claim name is a variant of Falco. The fox is considered a clever and cunning animal. Today, the COINTELPRO group called Anonymous wear the Guy Fawkes mask while they censor and cyberstalk people who speak out against Rome as they pretend to be oppressed to corruption. They are tricksters.
That's all, folks.
Pitcher, steroid, Santa Claus, kicks and deals. It's a long fly ball going back. And the ball shatters the sky, bringing the ocean itself down into the stadium. Oh, Simpson just broke this dream's reality wide open.
God, I'm out of the dome! Fresh air! Freedom! All right, you lead good luck.